streaming on the Tide HD Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station.
One man to beat, you can forget about it. Touchdown, Alabama.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Report. Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. Morning, Xavier Houston taking the reins this morning. We're still joined by Martin. If you're looking on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, anywhere that you can watch us over there, Martin is still with us. So if you have any questions, please continue to join in and with the conversation, as well as having DC or DC Capstone Report joining us this morning. We're going to be talking about several things when it comes to Alabama softball, as well as Alabama baseball, our tight end average, and any other questions that you have over the weekend. From the sports world, is Alabama going to be able to hold up as we have the Alabama baseball team holding on to the Tulsa Regional as well? But hey, remember, this is the day that the Lord has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Remember to love someone, teach someone, be the difference that you want to see in the world today.
Good morning. Welcome in this morning to the Martin Houston Show, guys. We're so excited to have you with us this morning. Glad that you've chosen to be a part of the conversation this morning as we move things along, reminding you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, and also join us on live stream. We got DC Capstone Report joining us today, and he and X will be carrying it throughout the remainder of the show. Got something I have to take care of this morning, but just wanted to pop in and say hello to you all, and thank you all so much for being a part of the program and what we do each and every day. Couldn't do it without you. Like us, love us, share us, follow us, and support, and we appreciate all of it. Big sports weekend on the capstone as both sports, softball and baseball, making big news in a big way. And so excited about what they have been able to do over the weekend. So we'll be breaking that down. Also, just always have an opportunity to talk with football. We wrapped up the Avatar conversation with the offensive line, and now we'll move over to tight end. DC may have some closing thoughts as he was talking to us last week about the O-line. So he may want to circle back and give some closing thoughts on that, but we'll move to the Avatar for the tight end as well. But Alabama baseball doing big things haven't been done in a while, and Alabama softball, maybe, just maybe, the injury to Montana Falcons may just be a blessing in disguise. So, good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, doing well. How are you?
Doing well. That guy, we must have a bad connection with you this morning. But I'm going to bring DC in as well. Good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Oh, doing great, Martin. Glad to be on the program this morning.
Glad to have you. So big weekend for Alabama sports, and especially softball. Continuing the amazing consistency of a softball program as they advance to the College World Series. Since this format of the Super Regional, they've only lost one time when they haven't made it. I think only one time, but then they've also been able to advance like 15 of the times that they've made it there. So just an amazing job. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of things we can say about this softball team, but just overall big picture, they've only missed the chance to go into the Super Regionals one time. And I happened to be there the time they lost to Hawaii. Hawaii, that was a team that lost to a Hawaiian team that was really hot and had some great home run hitters. So, but it's just been the consistency of the Patrick Murphy program there at Alabama. He's done a great job, and he's done a great job with this team. I mean, this team is not a very veteran team. It's a pretty young team, and I think exactly what you alluded to today happened. I think this team kind of pulled together after the Montana Falcons injury, and I think it gelled. And I think we can talk about that. Jayla Torrence, her really bursting onto the scenes a little bit with the limelight there and all the cameras watching her. She's only given up one run in this whole time of these regional, super regionals, and before that, I think she'd only pitched 23 and a half innings, so she didn't have a lot of experience, and it's really done a really good job. So I'm very pleased with her, and someone else that we probably could talk about a little bit. We say this sometimes with football, but I think it's true with the softball team. The people in the background who really don't get the credit have done a lot of work in this. And any of you, Martin, who is and I guess Xavier, both played sports, and the hyperextended knee is just a injury that can really be hard to come back from, especially if you got to put a lot of pressure on that knee. And I think the training staff at Alabama did a fantastic job getting Montana Falcons ready to even make a go of it. But we got to give a little shout out to the trainer assigned to the softball team. She hardly gets any publicity, but I think her name is Essie Atikana, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But she has done a fantastic job getting Montana Fouts ready, and the confidence that the Montana Fouts has in the training staff to listen and do the things needed to do to be able to put herself in a position to contribute. But I think all that together is made for a great season here for the team, going back to the World Series, back where they say they belong and where our softball team does belong. Made it so many times.
Yeah, and as you look at this Northwestern team, it is an interesting setup as they're a very veteran team. I think they had 5 young ladies that have started since they were freshmen and got a COVID year. So very, very experienced team. The Northwestern lead pitcher, only lost 1 game before Sunday. 23-1 coming into this tournament. So, they didn't just win against just anybody, nor Big Ten champs. I mean, back to back. So a lot of good things, a lot of confidence. But I guess to me, I just wonder, and we can kick this to the second quarter, and we'll get Allen on as well. But it to me is have we overpitched Montana after you see Torrence go almost 30 innings and give up 1 run? I mean, hadn't pitched back-to-back days since March. You don't ever want to question a great coach, but you have to ask that question, if that's the case, X.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something you can definitely question with the way that Torrence has performed. I mean, she's been amazing, especially stepping up for when Montana was out. And as you said, her injury, as unfortunate it was for her as a player, it might have been the best thing that happened to the softball team because it forced other players to have to step their game up for Alabama to win in her absence. And I don't think you stop using Torrence at all, through this process. As DC mentioned, an hyperextended knee is nothing to play with. And the fact that Montana's even out there is a testament to her will, her mental fortitude, and the Alabama training staff getting her prepped and prepared to get back out there. But you got to keep using Torrence, and for some reason, I believe that the bats will continue to perform, in those moments when Montana's not out there.
All right. Well, hey, DC, I'll let you respond to that. On the other side, I'll also we'll get Allen in to the conversation as well. We want to thank you for being a part of the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier with DC Capstone Report. The Alabama One hotline is open for business. We'll keep the conversation going about this Alabama softball team. We'll also talk about the baseball team. Been a while, but they're doing something they hadn't done in a while, and got hot at the right time to extend their season. Can they keep it going for one more round? We'll talk about that as well. You listen to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks on this Tuesday morning. Everything pretty quiet on the roadways. Now, if you do see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Others are raising their rates. Townsend Nissan is lowering theirs on selected models. 0% up to 60 months at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
It's time to get outside and play some golf. The Alabama One Aspire Foundation is hosting the second annual One Community Golf Tournament, June 21st from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Old Colony Golf Complex. The proceeds from this tournament will be used to further financial education in West Alabama schools, as well as advocate for more affordable housing in our communities. There will be lunch provided, as well as a chance to win a hole-in-one cash prize of $25,000. Visit AlabamaOneAspireFoundation.org/golf to register. The One Community Golf Tournament, June 21st. Register today.
Everything that you've ever seen with Miranda Lambert on it, I have my finger on the pulse of what it is. Idlewind, I've seen every article of clothing. I've spent hours and hours sending inspirations. I've sent clothes that I love and fabrics, and I'm involved in every single garment that you see. It's important to me that it is an extension of my music, and it's an extension of who I am. I always want it to stay as honest as my music. Idlewind at Boot Barn.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the Memorial Day sale, May 26th through June 5th, and get 30% off paints and stains with prices starting at $31.14. That means 30% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, get 30% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays dry today with a good supply of sunshine, the high 84. Tonight, fair with the low at 64. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, the high 86. Thursday, partly sunny, the chance of widely scattered afternoon showers, the high at 88. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 59 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Joined with DC Capstone Report. DC, as we were heading to break, we were talking about Alabama's performance and Montana's injury. What are some of your opinions on that?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head before we went to break there about Montana's injury and it being a really more serious injury than people give credit for because it's a hyperextended knee. And the training staff gives a great kudos there. But I really believe, and we can expand on this a little more, I really believe that, Jayla Torrance's appearance here, emergence, if you will, had to do with that injury. And I want to ask you a question. I know it was motivation for the whole team to kind of pull together like that, but I kind of felt like, and as Martin was alluding to, maybe you question whether or not why Torrence hadn't played more often, because you see it really setting up now, just like you said, for two people to take you into the World Series with opportunities to work together as a tandem. They've done really, really well as a tandem, and that helps keep her off her knee more than a little bit more by not having to go the whole game, and it's really, really worked well. And so where has she been all year? And I want to throw something out there for you to kind of talk about, and we can kind of just discuss it. But I think motivation for Torrence had to be that game against Middle Tennessee State that followed the injury that she didn't even get to start. They went with two other pitchers on the Alabama roster. And nothing against those pitchers, but apparently Torrance wasn't even the one that was called on in the need on that game. And I don't know. It could have been saving her, or it could have been some other reason. But I think that motivated her from that point forward, that she was available and she's been ready when called upon. And it seems to me that she zoned in really good on her pitches and playing the game and doing her best. So I think that may have motivated her that she didn't get the ball to close out that series against Middle Tennessee State, that they got pushed to an elimination game.
Yeah, that was very surprising when you look at everything that she's done but she stepped up, as we've said, we can't say enough to take it to her game to the next level. So really just proud of what she's done. And I really hope we see that tandem through the World Series, because I think that's what's going to take for Alabama to win a championship. But we've got Alan joining us on the Alabama One hotline. Good morning, Alan. How you doing?
Good morning. It's just a little bit something different from the Alabama sport. X, did y'all see that Miami game coming out the outcome that we saw after Game 6 Saturday? I'm sorry, Game 6 Friday.
Yes.
I thought that Miami was going to come back and it was going to be difficult, but I thought they were motivated very well to come back. They've been on the brink of elimination before, Alan, and I think early in this whole entire playoffs, maybe not even making it in the playoffs and then getting in and then being down and coming back. And I really think they play better as a team when they've got some adversity, when things are going all well for them. It doesn't seem they play together as well, play as hard.
And I'm on the road now. I did not see it coming. I'm a betting man, and I'm just so glad I didn't bet on that game because I would have lost. I honestly would have lost because my business partner, like I said, he played 10 years in the NBA. And me and him was talking after that Game 6. He said there are certain things that you got to be fundamentally sound about, and blocking out was one of them. And he said that he just said that was just. He said he saw that coming, but they said the whole game they wasn't blocking out. And he said that was just showed what happened when you don't block out at the end of the game.
Most definitely, I think that's part of their losing their concentration. And I think when they were ahead, they lost their concentration and didn't play well on the fundamental techniques of the game, like rebounding and blocking out and defense. And I think they focused. I think it motivated them, focused them in to have to go to that elimination game and playing in Boston when everybody, including me and you in the world, thought that Boston was going to take it at home. And I wouldn't have bet on the game either, but it didn't surprise me. I think they play their best when their backs against the wall.
All right, I appreciate
that.
Yeah,
that is true about Miami. All right, you have a good one, Alan. You stay safe out on those roads. But yeah, so bouncing back over to the baseball conversation. Hey, Alabama's hosting the regional. This was a team that a month ago we weren't sure was even going to make it into the field, and now hosting the regional, solid performance over the SEC tournament. Going 2-2, losing to Florida and Vandy, two of the better teams in the SEC. Opinions on what this means for Alabama baseball and potentially where we see them going with the head coach?
Well, man, I think it means a lot to Alabama baseball. And think about this, X. A month ago, the team is in disarray as far as the outside world is thinking. Coach is fired. Don't know how deep the betting on baseball has run. It's headlines everywhere. It has nothing to do with Alabama baseball. Playing baseball has to do with what's happened off the field. You got kids that's a veteran-laden team pulled together under two coaches, Jackson and Matt Rada, who happen to be friends with Matt. Matt's a great guy, and I've heard great things about Coach Jackson as well. So, those two coaches hold this team together, get them back focusing on the one thing that they can control, that's baseball, and they begin to go on a roll and win some games. And they do it the old-fashioned way with playing, hitting, defense, and pitching, and it lined up well for them, and they started winning some games. And what I think triggered to me that they were back as a baseball team was the fact that this past week, they made a great deep run in the SEC tournament, and a lot of teams don't even like to make a run in the SEC tournament because of the number of games you have to play and how it tires your arms out. But they made a great run in the SEC tournament, did a really good job of playing baseball, and the whole world started talking more about Alabama playing baseball than about stuff off the field, even to the point of a news story breaking about the individual who made the bet and his relationship with Coach, former Alabama baseball coach, Coach Bohannon. That still didn't overshadow Alabama's baseball. Most of the headlines I read were Alabama's baseball play in the SEC tournament. So I think that was where we turned the corner. And I think this team is going to do something they haven't done since 2006, and that's host a regional And I really believe that everybody that loves Alabama and loves Alabama sports ought to turn out and pack that place, pack the Joe, so that we support this baseball team. This baseball team, every one of those young men deserve our support, and those coaches just held on deserve our support. And I wouldn't be surprised that Coach Jackson, and I hope he keeps Matt Ray on staff, stick around if Greg Byrne can see the job they've done. They've done a heck of a job on the field, but also holding these players together off the field, I think, is a testament to their coaching abilities.
Yeah, this is one of those times that you kind of hate that softball and baseball run past the end of the school year, so you don't have the student turnout that you would have when it comes to other sports like football and basketball with that atmosphere. But I like what you're saying as far as, hey, pack it out, support these guys, the mental aspect that they had to overcome after everything came out, because a lot of times you see guys throw in the towel, they shut it down, but this team has continued to fight and push through and persevere. And like you said, first time since 2006. I'm not going to make you age yourself, DC, but I was 14 turning 15 the last time Alabama hosted a regional, and I will be 32 in a little bit over a month now.
Yeah, when you think about it, none of the kids playing right now will remember that game. So, or remember that coach, or but Alabama baseball fans do. They know where we were at one point and how we've kind of taken a fallback position in baseball. And what you just stated was correct. The very limited number of students on campus to come to these games, but it didn't stop softball from packing out the Rhodes House to the point of it could have sold another 1,000 tickets probably to get in there. And everybody talking about on ESPN, the commentator who was his first time to be there had never seen that many people in a softball game, come to a softball game. And so Alabama baseball doesn't have that quite of a niche following of local people. And I think that we're going to have to really do that to help this team through this regional round. And to be honest, I think they have a chance to win at home. They play really well at home, and if they get their pitching lined up on the exact right days, then I think they can win this regional. So it'd be something we hadn't done in a long time.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get to break, and when we come back on the other side, we'll start talking a little avatar when it comes to the tight end position. Hey, this Alabama tight end room is deep. Do any of these guys match your avatar? Let us know, but we'll catch you on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks on this Tuesday morning. Everything pretty quiet on the roadways. Now, if you do see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Others are raising their rates. Townsend Nissan is lowering theirs on selected models. 0% up to 60 months at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Ask big.
Have you seen our artisan-created diamonds? If you've been in a room with one, you can't miss it.
Tom Osmond from Fincher and Osmond.
It's a diamond like I've never seen.
And he's seen a lot of diamonds.
Ask big.
At Fincher and Osmond, you can put artisan-created diamonds side by side with mined diamonds. When you see it.
More importantly, when she sees it.
FincherandOsmond.com.
McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi.
Do you need help finding a job or earning your GED? Not sure what job to choose? Tuscaloosa's One Place, a family resource center, is offering a series of midday lunch and learn classes to help you change your life in as little as 8 hours. Get on track to earn your GED and increase your income by over $8,000 a year. Tuscaloosa's One Place can help you get started. Call 205-462-1000 for more information.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Found
Welcome back in to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. This Tuesday, we're joined by DC of DC Capstone Report. DC, when we're looking at this tight end room and talking about an avatar for the tight end position, there's been some pretty good names that have come through at Alabama, and when you're creating your avatar, what are you looking for in the tight end?
Well, I mean, I think you want someone who has great hands and can catch the ball, can run some routes, has a good speed, and can actually block on the line as well. And to get that in a one person, that's really hard. Eggs. I mean, that's a lot to give. It's hard to have the toughness and the bulk to block well on the line, and also the speed to take a linebacker deep. Alabama has had some success in that in the past. You know, as we've seen way throwback to old school. You know, Ozzie Newsome is probably the best hands and best pass catching tight end Alabama has ever had. And then you come forward with Howard Cross in the days that had a great career there at New York Giants, and then and to the recent tight ends, you know, that we've had some play a whole season and then show up in the national championship game and blow it out. You know, do a great job of doing that. That had that speed, and we've seen some others come through recently that's done well. But you know, this Alabama tight end room is a real stacked tight end room. I don't know that we got one tight end that fits the avatar for the tight end that you're talking about. I guess the top-notch tight end that everybody talks about forever, not an Alabama player, but you know, Rob Gronkowski type, the tight end like the people at Georgia have been recruiting. You know, I don't know that we've got one. We got a great tight end room. Don't get me wrong; it's crowded with a lot of players, and even after the transfer out of Elijah Brown, you got players who can fit those roles, but I'm not sure you got one that fits the entire avatar. It may be you know, a 3 or 4 headed monster that works in there with what we got right now. What do you think?
Yeah, when I look at this this quarterback room, this tight end room, you know, as you said, that there's a lot of potential there to be special. Now, where are you going to find it? Who's it going to be? That's the question that needs to be answered when you're talking about how this room ends up playing out this year. And is that CJ Dupree, you know, who fits the mold of the 6'5", 240, 250 pound guy who looks like who moves pretty well and seems to be a decent blocker? Or you're going to have Danny Lewis, who also fits that mold. Or you're going to see more of a Amari Knoblack, you know, who's that pass catcher who you know can take the top off of the defense, you know, a former wide receiver that put on some weight from high school now into a full year into a college weight program. What does that mean for him when it comes to blocking? But as you said, you want a guy that the prototype is a guy that can stick his hand in the dirt, who can seal off that defensive end, that outside linebacker, and as well as take it off the top end. I think Rob Gronkowski in current football is the best example that we had of that. But actually, you know what? George Kittle, man, you know, you look at him, he's not the biggest guy, but that guy is a nasty blocker, and then he can do amazing things with the ball in his hand. But I am perfectly okay, in all honesty, for Alabama to develop a Travis Kelce who's just an average blocker, but can absolutely destroy you in the passing game. So when you're looking at those attributes, Alabama has seen flashes from different players in the past. Like we talked about, O.J. Howard, Irv Smith. My dad brought up Lamont Russell, you know, on Friday when we were talking about it a little bit. So just the ability to have I don't know if Alabama has a single guy, but I think this room as a whole can do a lot of damage. And that's not even talking about a Robbie Oots or a Miles Kitselman, who you see more in the blocking mode of a tight end.
And the incoming freshman, Ty Lockwood. I mean, we don't know what he's going to bring to the table as well. So he's named a lot of good group there, and getting that avatar into one person, I think, will be a stretch this year. But I do think we can use it in multiple people, and I don't have a problem with that. I mean, Robbie Oots does a good job at what he does is blocking, and Miles Ketzelman is probably the other guy that we don't talk much about. C.J. Dupree has a lot of history in Maryland of catching the ball and blocking, so he may be the one that's the most like the avatar you'd want to project for the tight ends. But in no way am I saying that Alabama is lacking in tight ends. We probably have the deepest tight end room we've had in quite some time, especially with players that I think can catch the ball and block and run routes. Getting that tight end matched up on the linebacker where that you have the advantage. One of the advantages of doing that is not having a single player that does it, but you have multiple players, so the defense has to track the players who are in the game and what kind of scheme you're running and what plays you're running. And sometimes they get really lost on a linebacker with the player that can take the top off, like the Amari Niblack, and it's in the flow of the game. Substituting tight ends can really help you, I think. Take advantage of the different skill sets.
Well, what do you think Tommy Rees calling plays does for this room this year?
I think Tommy Rees is going to rely a lot on tight ends. Two reasons: one, he likes tight ends. He likes to call plays for tight ends. And two, we're going to have a quarterback that's not going to have the experience, I think. And one of the safest passes you can make is to that tight end area. So I think we're going to see a lot of tight ends work into the game plan. I think Rees uses them well. And I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 or 3 tight ends blossom for Alabama this year in the pass catching ability.
I definitely agree. I think you'll see the room grow a lot. And with Tommy Rees, I mean, you've seen what he's done at Notre Dame with tight ends. You see Notre Dame's overall track record with tight ends. I know I'm picking some Georgia fans here. I know they think that they are tight end you because of the last couple of years, but it's hard to beat out what Notre Dame has done with tight ends for the last 20 years when you really start looking at it. The John Carlsons, the Kyle Rudolphs, Michael Mayers this past year, as well as several other guys in that span of time that have really stood out at the collegiate level as well as the NFL level. So just that track record in and of itself makes you feel good about this room specifically. And then, of course, we're going to have a young quarterback, regardless of who's calling, who's up under center this year. So they always say a tight end is a young quarterback's best friend. Jalen Hurts gets, a lot of, or he did get a lot of flack about his play time here in Alabama. But if you go back and look at that freshman year he had, that was O.J. Howard's best statistical season of being used on a regular basis. Of course, we all know the national championship game in 2015 where he exploded. But most catches, I think most yards or close to it, the national championship game kind of skews the numbers there. But, man, OJ was Jalen's best friend his freshman year when he felt comfortable throwing the ball down the field. And I think that's an effect that you'll see again this year with whoever you have up under center. But looking at how you said you see multiple guys flourishing this year, I would lean Dupree, Lewis, Niblack. Do you see any different combination of guys that explode onto the scene through that room this year?
Well, I think that Dupree and Nyblack are going to be the ones that we would focus on, because based on what Dupree's done in Maryland, and Nyblack has really shown some promise here. But I think I have a feeling that Danny Lewis Jr. is really. I've seen some things off the field. He's really done well in the weight room. He's really bought into the program. I think he's going to be the closest to that combo, blocker, catcher ability, and I see him taking advantage of some of the linebackers, because they won't know his skill set very well right off, and I don't think there's going to be a drop off when you get to him. I think Robbie Utes is going to be a great blocker and may surprise some people with his pass catching ability, but I look for Danny Lewis Jr. And who's to say that Miles Ketzelman doesn't come up and show great things? He hasn't had an opportunity yet, but in my mind, I think Danny Lewis Jr. is the guy that's going to be surprisingly and make some strides. And I agree with what you said, X. I think this team this year is going to rely more on the tight end based on the play calling, the love for tight ends that Reese has, and the quarterback situation. Whoever's quarterback, your tight end's your best friend in your pass patterns most of the time, because they're the matchup that they can win while your wideouts are being covered. Tight ends and running backs are your safety valve. So I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for this tight end room, and so I think there'll be plenty of balls to go around, and you'll see C.J. Dupree and Mari Nyblack get theirs, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Danny Lewis Jr. be the emerging tight end that comes out of here as a surprise of how many balls he's caught by the end of the season.
I agree with that. Now, this is something I want to see, DC. And I feel like we can see it with Tommy Rees. I want to see Alabama get into a game, feed those running backs, and then just, boom, stick it in that running back's gut, pull it out right over the top of those linebackers coming up to one of these guys. I honestly don't care which one it is. Just hit those guys and let them run over that safety in the middle of the field. Because it's just something that, you hadn't seen from Alabama. And, the last couple of years, Cam Latu did an amazing job for us at tight end, especially making the transition from linebacker over to tight end. I think he's a perfect example of patience, waiting your time, and taking advantage of an opportunity when it's presented. But this tight end room, man, I don't know if there's been a tight end room ever at Alabama that has the potential of this. And, I know you and my dad have seen some old school guys do their things, as y'all have mentioned, but and through what I've seen, the Terry Jones Juniors, the Nick Walkers and Travis McCalls up into now, but man, this room can be really special, and I think it's going to be fun to watch this room grow throughout this season. But we're going to go ahead and get to break, and when we come back on the other side, we're going to talk a little thing that I've noticed that's interesting about our quarterbacks this offseason, as well as there's a new 5-star on campus, but he'll be wearing a familiar number. We'll catch you on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks on this Tuesday morning. Everything pretty quiet on the roadways. Now, if you do see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Others are raising their rates. Townsend Nissan is lowering theirs on selected models. 0% up to 60 months at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. Dozens of shootings occurred across the country over the long Memorial Day holiday weekend. One of them here locally. 26-year-old Cosby Daughtry was involved in a dispute inside the Wheels and Spokes Motorcycle Club that continued outside on Sunday night. 53-year-old man was shot once and transported to DCH Regional Medical Center with non-life-threatening wounds. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for local news, sports, and weather. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
When you or your family is in a car accident and injured, I've experienced it firsthand, and I highly recommend Stephen Mesrano, Mesrano Law. Call now, 205-800-8000, 205-800-8000.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, joined by DC of DC Capstone Report on this Tuesday. I hope everyone had a good Memorial Day yesterday. It is a hard time for a lot of veterans out there, a lot of men and women that served, where we remember those who paid the ultimate price for this country and gave their life so that we have the freedoms that we do have today. I know for me personally, having lost several friends through military service, whether it be overseas or due to the stresses back home, from not being able to really let go of what happened at war. So I just want to take a moment to honor those guys. A couple guys. Edward Dyke is the guy that I went through boot camp with, who was killed in action, as well as another close friend, Anthony Kelly, who couldn't let go of those demons once he got back home. So just want to say thank you to those guys who eventually paid the ultimate price for us to still be here and have the freedoms that we have. But just to continue this conversation, DC, I've noticed something interesting about the way the quarterbacks have trained this off season that are in this competition. We've seen Jalen Milroe take some of the guys and work out with them, and seems to be trying to build a level of camaraderie with those guys on and off the field. But I've also noticed that Ty Simpson has been back at home training by himself with his dad, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But do you think that is something that could potentially play into this quarterback competition?
Well, normally you would think so, but I don't think that's a departure from his normal routine. I think his dad's a coach, and he's always trained at home on the off season because he's so close to campus. And I don't think that's a kind of a telltale sign. Although I do think that your rapport with players is important, but I think what I've heard coming out, even as we closed out the spring practice, was that both of the quarterbacks have a good rapport with the players, and both are well respected by the players. And I think that it is somewhat a little frustration on Coach Saban's part because they're both so well respected, and he wants someone to kind of rise up and take over the room and take over the team. and that hadn't happened yet. And so part of it is they both were so well respected, and both of them do a good job, and all the players love playing for them. So yeah, it could make a difference, but I don't see that as a great departure from his normal routine of off-season workouts.
Well, while it might not be a departure from what he's normally done, like at the college level, it's a little different. If, in my opinion, not being around the guys like because of the timing aspects. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Ty is an amazing player and has all the potential in the world to be successful at Alabama and potentially win this job. But just in my opinion, when it comes down to you got to be around your guys. I know I've listened to my dad tell the story about the '92 team. It was the summer that all the seniors were like, "Hey, we're sticking around. We're not going home. We're going to work together. We're going to build a rapport. We're going to do things that make us better as a unit." And throwing against air looks good, but it doesn't build, in my opinion, what you need as a team.
Well, I definitely can see that. I think what Jalen Milroe is doing would do a lot to help build team chemistry and be team unity, and so I can definitely see the advantage there.
Yeah, and so I mean that's just kind of my take on it when you're in a quarterback competition, and because you don't want any more, in my opinion. I don't know if it's better or worse for there not to be a split in the room or not, or split in the locker room as a whole. Of, hey, this guy's been putting in work with me all summer, but you're not gonna give him the shot. I don't know how these guys will take it, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it. But
yeah, I see definitely what you're talking about, and it might play a part.
But moving on, so the summer enrollees have arrived. They're here, ready to make a name for themselves, whether that be transfer guys like Trey Amos or Jalen Key, but also the true freshmen, the rest of the true freshmen that are here. And we are going to get to see a new 31, and that is 5-star defensive end, edge rusher, Keon Keeley. I like it and don't like it all at the same time. I you know what I mean? Like,
I do. Yeah.
I wanted to see a little bit of a break. A little. Will Anderson Jr., one of the greatest defensive players to ever play at Alabama. When you talk about getting after the quarterback, he sits at number 2 all alone. It's hard to catch. Derek Thomas, probably nobody ever will. As far as Alabama fans will ever catch Derek Thomas. But Keon's putting a lot of pressure, picking that number right off the bat. I would have been cool with a year break. Nobody wear it, come back, somebody wear it next year. But what are your thoughts on Keon Keeley wearing number 31?
Well, I'm kind of like you, X. It's you hate it and you love it, and I guess I hate it because you do want a little break there. You want to honor that number because Will Anderson meant so much to Alabama football, and he would have never passed Derek Thomas's all time, but no other Alabama player probably ever will with the ideas of going pro before your senior year. But in all seriousness, you have to like a kid that wants to take that number and honor it and even go well and beyond it. So I'm really impressed that he would want that number and want the pressure, want the hype to do it. So I really you don't like it, but then again I kind of like it because he's obviously got some confidence in himself and he wants to honor that number and I think he can do that.
I definitely agreed. If there was a guy to do it, he's got the hype around him to do it. Now, of course, we say that. The funny thing is, you know what Richard Young's number was in high school, right?
What?
Number 9.
Well,
so that's going to be interesting to see there if he pulls out the number 9 or if that number does get at least a year break.
Well, I got two schools of thoughts on it. You hate to see it, but you always like to see somebody come take it that can. I would rather see Keon Keeley wear it than a walk-on, or not nothing against walk-on, but someone who's not going to do it justice. So, I wouldn't mind Richard Young wearing number 9 if he can win the Heisman Trophy.
Hey, if those two guys can live up to the previous, if Richard picks 9 and those two guys can live up to what the guys before them did, Alabama's in pretty good shape for at least the next 3 years.
That's for sure.
So, not going to complain there. So getting ready to wrap up the show, DC, can you let everybody know who sponsors you and where they can find you at, sir?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Martin and UX for always having me on Tuesdays. It's great to be here and be able to talk about what we do. Lance and I have the DC Capstone Report. We put that out. We'll be getting out soon as summer practices begin. But I'm sponsored by RollTideBama.com, FreelancePictures.com, and also Karen Cottingham. Karen Cottingham is my official sponsor. She is a realtor here in Tuscaloosa. You can reach her for all your real estate needs. She's at 205-887-4008. Reach out and touch base with her, and she'll help you with all your real estate needs.
And DC, right before you go, can you give us how you feel Alabama baseball and softball is going to do this weekend?
Well, I think Alabama baseball is going to surprise us and win some games. Alabama softball is going to run into two teams that are really tough, but I really believe that they have opportunities to beat Tennessee or Oklahoma and shock the world. So I look forward to both of them doing well. And don't forget something next you probably need to talk about later on. Spring SEC meetings begin today in Destin. So look for some great things coming out of there about the new schedule and formatting for the new teams coming into the SEC.
Hey, we appreciate it, DC. As DC Capstone Report, I'm Xavier Houston, Martin Houston. Hey, this is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, brought to you by MaX Sports. Y'all have a great Tuesday. Get ready to get back at that work week.
All right, thanks, Dex. Have a great day and roll Tide.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, traffic still pretty light on this Tuesday morning. No active wrecks, everything moving well. Now, if you do see conditions, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Others are raising their rates. Townsend Nissan is lowering theirs on selected models. 0% up to 60 months at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
The universal truth of women's shoes.